Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 14, Text number 28. Antah bhave ananta bhavantam eva hi atat tyajantah mrigayanti santah asantam api anti ahim antarena santam gunam tam kimu yanti santah antarbhavenanta bhavantameva antarbhavenantam bhavantameva hyatatyajanto mrigayanti santah hyatatyajanto mrigayanti santah asantamapyantyahimantарena asantamapyantyahimantарena santam gunam tam kimu yanti santah santam gunam tam kimu yanti santah antarbhavenanta bhavantameva hyatatyajanto mrigayanti santah asantamapyantyahimantарена santam gunam tam kimu yanti santah antarbhavenantameva to mrigayanti santah antarbhave within the body, ananta, O unlimited Lord, bhavantam, yourself, eva, indeed, he, certainly, atat, everything separate from you, tyajantah, rejecting, mrigayanti, search out, santah, the saintly devotees, asantam, unreal, api, even, anti, present nearby, ahim, the illusion of a snake, antarena, without negating, santam, real, gunam, the rope, tam, that, kimu, whether, yanti, appreciate, santah, persons who are spiritually situated. Translation and purport by disciples of His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, ISKCON Samstapakacharya. Translation. O unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? Purport. One may argue that a person should cultivate self-realization and at the same time pursue sense gratification for the material body. This proposition is herein refuted by the example of misidentifying a rope as a snake. One who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful and thinks of so-called snake. But upon discovering that the so-called snake is actually a rope, he experiences a different emotion, relief, and can then ignore the rope. Similarly, because we misunderstand the material body to be the self, we are experiencing many emotions in relation to the body. Upon discovering, however, that the body is simply a bag of material chemicals, we carefully note how this illusion was created and then lose interest in the body. Discovering that we are actually an eternal soul within the body, we naturally focus our attention on that real self. Those who are saintly and wise always cultivate Krishna consciousness, spiritual knowledge, having transcended the foolish misidentification of the body as the self. Such Krishna conscious person go on to realize that the Supreme Personality of Godhead who dwells within the material body as the super soul, the witness and guide of every living entity. Realization of the super soul and the individual soul is so pleasing and satisfying that a self-realized person automatically gives up everything irrelevant to his spiritual advancement. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So we are studying 10th canto, prayers of Lord Brahma, and we see here the purport clearly. It's explained. The basic principles again and again we are seeing since first canto, right? From first canto to 10th canto also we are studying the same philosophy that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So Bhagavad Gita, we see Krishna in second chapter, in the beginning of second chapter till many shlokas, we see Krishna is explaining the basic philosophical point that we are not this, we are not this body, but we are actually spirit soul. Because until we understand this basic principle, there can be no spiritual life. Spiritual life begins when you start to understand that we are not this matter, we are spirit soul. So that's what we see in Bhagavatam, in Bhagavad Gita, in Srila Prabhupada books, in lectures. Repeatedly Prabhupada is emphasizing this point that actually this body is temporary and spiritual is eternal, and we are not this body, we are spirit soul. So unless we understand this point, we cannot advance in any way. Prabhupada many times explains spiritual life, the ABCD of spiritual life. The basic understanding is that we are spirit soul. Because if you don't understand, we will misunderstand everything which we are going to study further. Krishna's pastimes and Krishna's everything, anything. Because people generally, they are more interested in understanding, hearing Krishna's pastimes and Vrindavan pastimes and so many things like that. In one of lecture, Prabhupada explains, if you think I am this body, and if you study Krishna's pastimes, you will misunderstand that Krishna's pastimes also like material. If you think there is no spirit soul and everything is material, and when you understand Krishna's pastimes, when you study, and then you understand Krishna is also like me of material person, like me of material body. So Prabhupada explains, first you understand that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. Then if you try to understand Krishna's pastimes, then it will be easy. It will be proper understanding. Whatever is Krishna is performing, this activity is all transcendental. So, but though we hear many times the same thing we are repeating, but it is not so easy to realize this point that we are not this body, we are a spirit soul. Right from day one, we start to hear this fundamental basic philosophy which Krishna is explaining, but still we see it's not very easy to act in that platform of spirit soul. Because we have this body, and body has its demand. Body wants eating, sleeping, mating and defending. So we hear the philosophy that we are spirit soul, but are we acting on that platform of realizing, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul? So one who is realized, one who is self-realized, he will not give much importance, or he will not waste his time in satisfying his bodily demands. Like we see Goswamis, They are highly elevated. They are self-realized soul. So they are eating, sleeping, and everything else. It's all reduced. Bodily demands they have reduced almost to nil. Srila Prabhupada explains every 3 days or twice a day they were having little bit of buttermilk and they were hardly sleeping. Once in 2 days. Once in 2 days they were having buttermilk. But Prabhupada explaining, but still they were having little buttermilk. They were not fasting completely. They were having buttermilk so that they can maintain their body and soul together. But for general people, if you try to understand by our logic, it's hard to resist on just little bit of a buttermilk. So you need to have transcendental, spiritual energy to maintain this body. It's not just simply by buttermilk. Prabhupada explains. But still they were having some rest and they were having some bit of buttermilk. But we see their bodily demands like some entertainment or sleeping, eating, everything has been almost reduced to nil. So Prabhupada says this is the standard. We know this, we are not this body, we are spirit soul, but we have this body, but we have to maintain this body so that we can practice Krishna consciousness. So what is the understanding? So the minimum, what is bare necessary so that we can maintain the body, that much we accept, so that we can maintain this body and soul together. So what is the standard of maintaining this body? What is the highest standard, highest principle? So Prabhupada says this is set by Goswamis. The example is set by Goswamis. So until we reach that level, it's very difficult to practice Krishna Bhakti in complete sense, because here the purport it is explained. Those who are saintly and wise always cultivate Krishna consciousness, spiritual knowledge, having transcended the foolish misidentification of the body as the self. So they are completely engaged in transcendental activities. What Goswamis they were doing? They were writing literatures and they were worshipping. They were having preaching, and they were having temple built. Right? Goswamis they were having. They built the temple and they were engaged in transcendental activities such as writing about Krishna and glorifying Krishna. So unless one is completely immersed in transcendental activities, it's very difficult for one to give up this material attachments, material bodily needs, which are very much demanding. Senses are pushing, tongue is asking to eat more, and senses are pulling in different directions. This body it's material illusion which we misidentify with us, with the self. So it's not so easy as we speak that we are not body, we are a spirit soul. To realize this point, we need to have practice. So okay, we understand we are not this body, we are spirit soul, but how do we act on it? How to get that realization? And Prabhupada says by acting by doing activities of the spirit soul. What are the activities of spirit soul? Transcendental activities means serving Krishna. So when we serve Krishna with this body, when slowly we get the realization that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. And then Prabhupada goes on to explain in one lecture that Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So this bodily activities, these all are the sense gratification. This is like lower taste. Lower taste means bodily enjoyment, eating, sleeping, mating and defending. So when we get the higher taste of Krishna consciousness, what is the higher taste? In chanting, in hearing, Shravanam, Kirtanam, when we get this higher taste of Krishna consciousness, then automatically this bodily demands or bodily enjoyment which are lower, this will be reduced automatically. It's not artificially done. Artificially, if one tries to imitate, then it is not possible. So this comes naturally when we engage ourselves in transcendental activities of hearing and chanting. Then slowly one loses the interest and demands of body, such as eating and sleeping, mating and defending. So unless we realize this thing, and when we engage ourselves completely in Krishna service, chanting and hearing, it's not easy to give up this bodily attachment. And then and devotees, they are aware of it, how the body is demanding, how it is entangling oneself in this material world, and they are very much careful not to entertain these senses and mind. They are tolerating their bodily demands. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Matarashvasasa kaunteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama payano nityastam titikshasva bharata. And Krishna says to tolerate whatever suffering or the dualities of this material world, means this bodily needs, whatever is there. So unless one learns to tolerate all these bodily demands, it's not easy to practice Krishna consciousness, because every day we see this body is when it is getting old and it is asking more and more demands, and we tend to spend so much time and energy just to maintain this body. We have to eat, we have to sleep. See how much time we have to spend to just maintain this body. Uh, so if you are so much absorbed in taking care of this body, then how much time we will have to engage in Krishna consciousness? So the advanced devotees that we can see, they are less giving time to body, more time for spiritual advancement. Just like we see Srila Prabhupada, how much he was eating, how many hours he was sleeping. Literally few hours he was taking rest, and we see from memories, Prabhupada's memories, Prabhupada disciples, they were explaining, even for that 2 hours of rest, Prabhupada used to lament every day. See, I have to take rest. 2 hours I'm going to waste. 1 hour I'm going to waste. Always Prabhupada used to lament. So we see the great devotees, those who are exalted, and they always feel, this whatever they have to do for this body, it's useless. It's waste of time, because they consider this is unwanted. They want to engage more in devotional activities. They are advanced, but still we have this body. We have to maintain, but with proper understanding, just for the sake of serving Krishna. So the body is there, but it is given by us to Krishna so that we can serve Krishna properly. So that's why the rules and regulations are given, so that we can overcome these bodily demands. There are fastings and there are rules and regulations, so that gradually one can get purified or overcome this bodily consciousness. There is Ekadasi, there is fasting is given, so that to overcome this hunger and the bodily demands, because body demands eating, so much we want to eat, and the fasting helps us so that we can control our senses, and having prasadam. Prasadam is transcendental. So when we have this understanding, this is prasadam and this is purifying me. When we eat prasadam, honor prasadam with this understanding, slowly we get purified and we can overcome this demands of tongue. And Rupa Goswami explains in Upadesha Amritam, in order to advance in Krishna consciousness, the first thing one has to develop one has to control is the urges of tongue. Vacho vegam, manasakrodha vegam, Jihva vegam, udaropastha vegam. One has to tolerate the urge of tongue, means speech, and the body means stomach, and the eating. So we know all these things. Unless one controls the senses, it is not hard. It's not easy that one can advance in Krishna consciousness without controlling one's senses. So that way the rules and regulation helps us so that we can control our senses. So there is fasting. But if you are, if you are not going to follow these rules, then it will be not easy to advance in Krishna consciousness. So Ekadasi fasting and festival times or appearance day, disappearance day, acharyas, we fast so that we can control the demand of the body. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for one has to advance in Krishna consciousness, one has to balance of all these things. Yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapna avabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha. So one who is practicing, one who is doing spiritual practice, sadhana for a yogi, he has to balance all these things like yukta ahara, eating, and vihara, entertainment, all these things should be balanced. So unless one balances all these things, it's not easy to achieve real success, means advance in spiritual life. Even we see materialistic people, they follow so much of rules, diet, so that they can get better health or they can better achieve something in material things. We see they have so much of rules and regulations, what they eat, when they sleep, when they wake up, they have so much regulation. But we know that's of no use, though they may follow so many rules and regulations. But ultimately, for what they are doing, they are trying to enjoy more senses. They control the senses, so that they can enjoy senses more. But spiritually advanced person, they control their senses, they control the bodily urges, so that they can completely overcome this bodily demand. Not that they can enjoy more this body. They can overcome this bodily demands and they can serve more Krishna. If someone can overcome this demands of this body, so much we can save our time, so much we can engage ourselves in Krishna service. So it is not easy as we speaking, because that the whole sadhana which we are practicing every day, waking up early and only taking Krishna prasadam, trying to engage our senses in Krishna service. So this is something which we are trying to go opposite to the current society, means the current of the society. Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness means we are swimming in opposite direction to the current. It's not easy. The body is pushing in one way, but spiritual practice means we are saying no to this bodily demands. Tongue is demanding, the body is demanding, but we have to say no. Now this is not the time to sleep. Now this is not the time to eat. We should not eat this. We should not eat that. It control our senses. And more than negating, we should try to apply or positively engage our senses in Krishna service. Because we don't say we should not eat at all. We say we can eat only Krishna prasadam. So this is the criteria. We don't say we should not sleep at all, but we say take rest for the service of Krishna. So we cannot say there is no sex at all. There is sex for the purpose of begetting Krishna conscious children. So all these things, all this body, this should be engaged in Krishna service, and one day this body will get purified, mind will get purified, so that we can overcome this bodily demands. So there is nothing in eating and sleeping and having this bodily maintenance, but the proper understanding is that this body is Krishna's, and I have to maintain this body so that I can utilize this body in Krishna service. But materialistic people, they have different conception. First of all, they don't have this idea that we are spirit soul. They think I am this body, and their whole life is they are wasting it just to maintain their body, just to satisfy their body. Srila Prabhupada says, generally people are spoiling their life for decorating dead body and giving no attention at all to the spirit soul within. Our business is just the opposite. To give more time to the spiritual life and accept material necessities only as required. This make life perfect. This is Vedic way of life. We do not reject or accept anything until it is seen in the light of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for Krishna consciousness, we accept. Anything unfavorable, we reject. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. So this body, when it is used in Krishna service, we have to maintain. But materialistic people, they think they are this body, and whole life they are wasting just to give satisfaction to this body. They don't have this idea of we are spirit soul and we are servant of Krishna, and they waste their human form of life, just to satisfy their, eating, sleeping, and mating and defending bodily demands. There is big arrangements or big effort to satisfy the tongue. We see when we go out for book distribution, we are seeing so many billboards, just for food, KFC and so many restaurants. Everything is for what? Just to satisfy their needs of tongue. And there is so much of propaganda for sleeping. They have different kinds of mattress, different ads just for sleeping. And they pay so much money so that they can get good mattress or bed so that they can sleep nicely. And we see, though people are trying to eat, sleep, but with their idea of securing more money, they don't even enjoy their senses properly. People, they don't get proper sleep, they have to take tablets. So scientists and all these doctors, they are researching, they are trying to find out the ways so that people can increase their enjoyment of eating, sleeping, mating and defending. But however you give this eating, sleeping, this bodily demands, the body is not going to get satisfied. It's going to die one day. This body is going to die. So however we try our best to satisfy this body, it's not going to get satisfied. So with this intelligence that we are not this body, we are spirit soul, we try to minimize our activities of this bodily needs and engage ourselves in Krishna service. So in that way we can achieve perfection in life. Hare Krishna. Yes, we consider this body to be the self. So this is an illusion. So when you come out of this illusion, you understand that we are not this body. So in that way we get the understanding. So until we are in this illusion that considering this this rope as a snake, we are always fearful. So when we clearly understand that this is just not the snake, this is the rope. We are overcoming this illusion that about the reality of life. We are not this body, we are a spirit. So then we are not anymore in illusion. When we are not in illusion, we engage in Krishna service. So this is the example. Srimad Bhagavatam ki